Aloha, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to another week of Trauma Recovery University. I am your host, Athena Moberg, and with us, of course, is your incredible co-host, Bobby Parrish. Thank you so much for being here. Who are we, and are you in the right place? This is live Q&A Mondays. We show up here every single week, Bobby and myself, and we answer your questions. And we answer the questions for the community of adult survivors of childhood sexual abuse. So if that is you and you are a survivor, or if you're the loved one of a survivor, then you are in the right place, because this week, we show up every week with a different topic. This week's topic is how to encourage and support the survivors in your life. So we got together this morning during our first Twitter chat of the week, because we have 3 every week. This is the second of 3. The first one is hashtag CSAQT. The second one is this one, which has a video component to it, and it's live interactive Q&A, and that's hashtag No More Shame. And you can tweet us to ask questions, and you could tweet us anytime. We monitor the hashtag. And then the third Twitter chat of the week is the original sex abuse chat with our very own Bobby Parrish and Rachel Thompson at Rachel in the OC. So we showed up this morning at our first Twitter chat, which was created actually for our UK survivor community, and that's hashtag CSAQT, which stands for Childhood Sexual Abuse Question Time. And we got together with our group of community members, fellow survivors, and we put together a comprehensive list on the most helpful ways to encourage the survivors in our lives, how to encourage and support. Everyone had their own input. Everyone had an idea, or just a certain best practice, or a certain favorite way to be encouraged, or even things that they didn't care for that people had tried to be supportive in their very own way, but it really wasn't supportive at all because it was coming from sort of a selfish or judgmental motive, or a selfish motive, or a judgmental stance, which really isn't helpful to anyone. If you have a survivor that's in your life, someone in your life who was sexually abused as a child in any way whatsoever, and if you are coming at them with any type of a judgment, or you should just, or you would be fine if you would just, or you're sort of trying to fix them, then please know that that is not helpful. And we're here to provide you with a list of very helpful ways that you can help the survivors in your life. You can support them. You can encourage them. You can further along their recovery journey. Everybody's journey is different. Not 2 survivors have the exact same journey. Every single survivor has their own recovery journey from childhood abuse. And what's good for one survivor is not going to be good for another survivor, and might actually make things worse. So we're going to break that all down. We have a comprehensive 1-page downloadable resource for you, as we do every week. And to get access to that complimentary 1-page downloadable resource, all you got to do is go to one of our websites, either NoMoreShameProject.com or TraumaRecoveryUniversity.com. And you'll just click on a tab that you find that says Downloadables somewhere in the menu, and you'll be taken to a place where you can enter your information and receive free access, not only to tonight's resource, but to our whole library. There's hundreds of them, hundreds of pages. We also have hundreds of hours of video for you on our Roku TV channel. To our Roku family, by the way, thank you so much. I just got an update from Roku that we have so many 5-star ratings. 5 stars out of 5 stars. It's unbelievable. And we just show up every week and we just do our thing. And you guys are giving us so many 5-star ratings. And we just want to really, really, really thank you so much. And I just got an update from YouTube, an email actually, And our videos are not approved for monetization, like they can't run ads on them because of the sensitive nature, but they're really impressed with the growth of our channel, and we got a little bit of a pat on the back, so that's kind of nice as well. So to our YouTube family and to our Roku family, thank you so much for your support. Thank you, the survivors who show up here every single week. All of our survivors show up every week and just support one another on the Twitter stream. And then Bobby and I take turns moderating the Twitter stream and moderating the questions that are sent in. So I saw before we went live, there are so many of you here live tonight. I saw Kalisha and Dominique and Joey, and I saw Maggie and Matt and Jack, and I believe I saw Amanda. Gosh, there were so many. Everyone there. Phoenix is here. Phoenix. Sarah, I wish you were sleeping, Sarah, but I'm really glad that you're here. Hi, Katie. And I know there's more. I know I probably left some people out. I'm so sorry if I left anybody out that was here early. So anyway, we're just so happy to see you all. Oh, there's Dawn. I see Dawn, and I think I saw Mert somewhere. Hey, Mert. And just thank you. Thank you. We're so honored that you guys are here. Thank you for letting us know you're finding our resources and that they are helpful. I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to your incredible co-host, Bobby Parrish, and she will update us on things going on in our community, issue a trigger warning, and then we will get started answering your guys' questions. Take it away, Bobby.
I'm trying to come up with a word. Is there such a word as a flailer? You're not a flailer.
Oh, like you're not flailing. You're not a flailer who is flailing. Yeah, you're not. Whoever that is that you're tweeting, they are not a flailer. Right. You are here. You are a swimmer. Just keep on swimming.
Yes. Have you seen the new Dory movie?
Not yet. I'm so excited to watch it. My husband's not like an animated movie person because he never had kids of his own, and I survived on animated movies when my son was little. So I'm probably going to rent it on one of those days when he's working and I'm not, or something. But yeah, I'm a huge animated movie person. So but welcome everyone, and whoever you are not flailing. And I feel like I missed somebody. Did I miss somebody? Hi, Sue. Is Sue on her break from work? And hi, Destiny. Oh, and before I forget, Bobby, oh my gosh, and you need to take this away from me because I'll just keep talking. Aniqua messaged me on Twitter wanting to go to our event that was supposed to be this past weekend, but Aniqua, sadly and unfortunately, our live event had to be postponed / canceled because we didn't sell enough tickets. So we needed to sell about $50,000 worth of tickets, and we only sold like $5,000 worth of tickets. So sadly, the very first Trauma Recovery University Live was not this past weekend, which we've cried a lot of tears over, had a lot of stomach aches over, we've grieved, and we're sad, but we're not letting it stop us. We will continue to show up, and a huge part of this is showing up. So Aniqua, we're so sorry that you weren't able to go to the event, but no one did. So it wasn't just you, and I'll message you as soon as I can. Okay, Bobby, it's all yours.
Okay. I am so happy to see all of you with us. And I know that we are sliding down into the holiday season, and the holidays can be difficult for survivors. So know that Athena and I have some special things to present to you as we come into the holiday season, and that we are aware that the holidays can be hard for survivors. In fact, I was looking at my calendar today here on my wall, and Thanksgiving is just a week and a half away. How did that happen? So before we go any farther, there we go, send that tweet. I want to issue a trigger warning. Tonight's broadcast does discuss childhood abuse, and specifically childhood sexual abuse. So please take care of yourself as you watch and as you listen. Because of the dual sensory input of watching and hearing at the same time, the broadcasts can be very triggering. If you're triggered, just go ahead and shut things down and walk away. The replay will be there later. Perhaps you could try listening to the podcast, which would be auditory only, or you can just go download the one page. Whatever needs to happen for you to be able to receive the information without it triggering you. That's what we support. We don't want you to be here and be upset while you're trying to receive information, which can help you further your recovery. If you are in crisis or you need help urgently, and you're in the US or Canada, we encourage you to reach out to our friends at RAIN. That's the Rape, Abuse, Incest National Network. And their hotline number is 1-800-656-HOPE, HOPE. They also have a crisis chat feature on their website, available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And that is at their website, rainn.org, RAINN.org. If you are in the United Kingdom, you can reach out to the Samaritans. And they're an incredible group, and they provide so many forms of outreach and support to citizens in the United Kingdom. You can reach them on their hotline at 116-123. You can also text them at 07725 909090, or you can email them at jo@samaritans.org. If you are in Australia, you can reach out to your national hotline, and that is at 131114. So we're hoping tonight to provide not only survivors, but those who love survivors. If you have a spouse or a partner or a friend or a coworker or someone you go to church with, and you want to be able to support them in their recovery, that's what we're here today to talk about. We're going to share with you some suggestions, some tips, some strategies, and we're hoping that it is a positive hour full of information and not, sometimes the content we provide is really hard to hear. And as if you've been watching us for a while, you'll know that Athena and I do not shy away from the hard topics, because we need to hear the hard topics. Because how are we going to recover and tackle them in our recovery if we don't know anything about them? And one of the big reasons Athena and I set up this broadcast is because we didn't get the education and information we needed to have a recovery that was as quick and simple as possible. So that's why we're here. We want to give you every piece of information we could possibly think of that's going to be helpful to you. And sometimes those are really dark topics, and sometimes they're things like this, which are lighter topics. So if you are a survivor and you have people in your life who you would like to support you, I encourage you to go over to the website, NoMoreShameProject.com, click on the downloadables tab, and print off 20 of the one pages, 30 of this one page, and just hand those suckers out. When it comes time to holiday season, everybody gets a flyer. Flyers for everybody. I don't care, put a little Santa stamp on them or something. But these are, and they're not, the one page is not at all, you're doing this badly. We need you to really do this because you're doing it wrong. This is all in love and compassion, and a way to have them support you with love and compassion. So I would love to hear your suggestions tonight on things that could be added to the one page. And my camera just completely freaked out there. Sorry. Let's try this.
There you are.
That was weird. But I'm still down there.
You're still a little bit low. I'm gonna be quiet. Sorry.
That's okay. Okay. I think I'm better. Wow, how weird is that? Okay. I'll be tall. Anyway. Funny little tech gremlins tonight. So we're anxious to share this with you. I, however, have something that I find to be rather serious that I want to share with all of you first. And if all of you have been with us for a while, you will know that I seldom get very strident, and I seldom challenge much things that are going on negatively around us. But I'm here to tell you something. This last week was a difficult week for survivors of sexual assault in the United States, given the election and the election results. And I have spoken with survivors who, following the election, have been extremely triggered, have been exposed to hate and judgment and denigration, and it's not okay. I have spoken to members of our community who are minorities. They're either a racial minority or they're a member of our LGBTQ community, which I am, and they have been receiving hate and judgment and denigration. And that's not okay. It's just absolutely not okay. I don't care who you voted for. That's not the issue. I don't care if you voted Democrat, you voted Republican, you voted third party. I just care as to whether or not you are promoting hate rhetoric. So if you send me a friend request and you would like to join one of our support groups, and I look at your Facebook timeline and it is filled with hate rhetoric towards another Democratic Party, a marginalized group, LGBT groups, racial minorities, women, sexual assault groups. I don't care who it is. I'm not putting you in one of our groups. It's just not happening. Athena and I have worked so hard over the last 2 years to build support groups based on love and compassion and acceptance. And I know that people feel like they can express one part of themselves on social media and then come into the groups and express something else. But I'm not going to run that risk. So if you want to be part of our group and you send me a friend request and I look at your Facebook timeline and it's full of hate, I will tell you no. And that's just a stand that I'm personally going to take. And that's from this point forward. So if that earns me some hatred, if that earns me some people who don't join our groups, if that earns me the denigration of other people, so be it. But I'm drawing a line. No more hate. It's not okay. And it's not okay in our groups. They're our groups, and we get to set the bar. So I want to make that really clear. I wanted to say that at the beginning of the video this week. Usually we talk about joining our support groups at the end of the video, but it doesn't seem that everyone always stays around for the end of the video because they leave. So there we go. There's my heavy-handed negative comment for the week. And I hope that you will respect that and know that above all, what I want for the survivors who are a part of our groups is love and compassion. Because we have already been through hell. We have already been treated with hatred and denigration and marginalization. It's not happening in our groups. It's not. So I'll leave the topic alone. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me and ask those questions, and we will move along with our video. So, Athena, do you have any questions or comments that are being raised on the Twitter stream? Are people tweeting in what they think might be helpful for them to hear as survivors? We were very lucky this week, this morning, to have a spouse of a CSA survivor, and she was wonderful. She shared with us many things that she had been doing for her spouse. And I hope she comes back next week. She was just great. And of course, we have a family, Simi and Jack, and their daughter, who all belong to our community, and they give us feedback on what they could do for each other, which is helpful and supportive. So sometimes it's not always something that, you know, we want someone out here to do for us. As survivors, we have friends who are survivors. As survivors, some of us are in relationships with other survivors. So it's things that we can do for them as well. So, Athena, anything to share so far?
Let me see. I have Destiny says that she has people in her life that use statements like, why don't you, or only if you just do the following, or the worst thing they say to her is don't jump, and she has PTSD. So I told her that I'm really sorry that she's receiving that type of treatment, because that is totally not helpful, Destiny. I'm so sorry. And Jen is back. She's had a little bit of a sabbatical, so I'm super happy to have Jen back. Let's see here. PJ wants to know, please define what you mean as hate, because media has made it not okay to disagree with people. I think that Bobby made it very clear what she meant. She explained it. So this message was 3 minutes ago before you were done explaining what hate is. Hate is hate rhetoric. Hate is something that is hateful towards other people. So it doesn't matter who you voted for. It doesn't matter if you were a Hillary supporter or a Trump supporter or a Johnson supporter, or this is not a political statement that Bobby's making at all. Is saying, and what I am saying to back her up is, if you want to be plugged into our Facebook groups, and on your Facebook timeline, there are all kinds of posts that are against the Republicans or against the Democrats or against blacks or against gay people, and you know, just all kinds, anything that is hate rhetoric, that promotes people to segregate and be unkind, anything that is unkind. Bobby's saying that's a line that she's drawing, and we don't have time. We are two women. There are 1 billion survivors with a B. Billion with a B. Okay, so 2 women here creating groups for 1 billion survivors. And we're slowly but surely, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of you, close to 1,000 of you so far, are spread out amongst all the groups. And we don't have time to work out everyone's, I'm going to act this way in the group, and then when I'm not in the group, I'm going to go act this way and be this way, and have it be very triggering, and that's sort of duplicitous. And survivors have issues with trust. And so just know that we don't have time for this. No one has time for it. Like, you can support who you want to support and love who you want to love and be who you want to be. But if you are spending your energy hating others and spreading hate about others, then it's likely that our groups are not a good place for you. There's plenty of groups out there in the world that you could go join, but ours might not be the group for you. And that this isn't directed at any one person. There was just a person,
No.
PJ Designs is the person that just asked this question. So my comment is not directed at you, PJ Designs. My comment is directed towards the interwebs and anyone who could possibly ever watch this video ever. And we just don't have time. We are too busy healing and helping and loving others. We are all healing and we're all loving others, and we're creating safe spaces where people can come and be loved on by everyone. We have no time for anything that is not supportive and loving. Period. End of story. Hopefully that was helpful. Mert says, thank you for getting the haters. It would be awful to get one of them in our safe zone. Yes, I totally agree. We've had some of that happening. Oh, and Maggie's going to be going to see a specialist. She's going to go see a doctor tomorrow. So I'm cheering Maggie on. There's mostly just been some discussions back and forth. There's Alex is getting ready to go see a specialist tomorrow, and we're cheering for her. Dissociative Jess is here. I don't know if you've ever joined us on a Monday night, but if you haven't, we are super, super stoked that you're here. I'm a survivor of child-on-child sexual abuse. People, adults, aren't the only perpetrators. These children are criminal. Yes, we have a video about that, Jess, and it's sibling abuse. I don't know if it was a sibling of yours, but it's very common. I was sexually abused by another child as well who was not my sibling. I was abused by step siblings as well, but I was sexually abused by another girl who was younger than me. I think I was 7 or 8 at the time, and I think I was 8 and she was 7. So yeah, so you're definitely not alone, Jess. And yes, it is definitely it is a crime, and they are perpetrators. And even if they're children doing what was done to them, it doesn't make it right. And hopefully they're receiving help, and you deserve safe support, and you deserve
they need intervention.
Yeah, they need someone to intervene and go make sure that they get help. But we're glad you're here with us, and it was wrong, and you didn't deserve to be treated like that. You didn't deserve to be sexually abused by anyone, a child or an adult. Sharon says, extremely difficult time. My mother that raised me passed a few years ago. 13th biological mother passed 1 year. Mother a few years ago on the 13th, and her biological mother passed 1 year ago on the 14th. Oh, I'm sorry that you're having a rough week, Sharon. I'm so sorry, Sharon. This is a safe place for you, and grieving is triggering. Grieving is so triggering, because when we grieve the loss of a loved one, it brings up, it's trauma, and trauma is cumulative. So you're not just slicing off a pretty little piece of this one particular trauma, which is someone who's passed away, and you're dealing with that. Your trauma that you're going through regarding the passing of these loved ones is triggering every other trauma in your whole life, and it's sort of heaping it all in one big fat pile for you to deal with. Like Bobby and I talk about the big pile of baklava and spaghetti, and you're just trying to like make sense of it all. And we're so sorry that you're dealing with all of that, because I've been there, and I'm not looking forward to being there again. My dad passed away 2 Februaries ago. In fact, you all were here with me. In fact, it was the night that we did the sibling abuse video. I think it was the day after. Anyhow, I'm still having dreams about him. He still invades my sleep. And it's not good dreams. They're all bad dreams. So I'm so sorry. Sharon tends to isolate. August wants to know, Bobby, how can we stop the ignorance of PTSD being real? I think it's a multifaceted question, Bobby. I'd like to answer my part, and then I would love to hear your thoughts on that. Does that sound good?
You bet.
Okay. So You perfectly use the word ignorance here. And that is that you said, how can we stop ignorance of PTSD being real? There's two sides to this. There are people who are innocently ignorant, and then there are people that really kind of enjoy being ignorant. And even if they're told something, they ignore it, ignorant, but they're perpetually ignorant. So there is a difference between someone who just doesn't understand, but they have a desire to show compassion, and people who just prefer to ignore because it's easier and it's a cop-out for them. And unfortunately, those are the ones we can't help. And we have to choose to block them out of our mind and not allow them to drag us down. And because they're everywhere. The ones that are innocently ignorant, I'd say the way that we modify that is to educate them in a way that is loving and supportive and kind, such as having them perhaps watch this video or even just print out the one page. You know, as Bobby mentioned earlier, there was a gal that's a spouse of a survivor, and she was mentioning different ways that she supports her spouse. And then someone mentioned, I believe it was it Amanda? It was Amanda, I believe, said that she and her husband sat and watched a video like last week or the week before together. Her husband sat with her. And that's just the best feeling ever for her, I believe, just to know that her husband cares enough to watch and to learn. And so I think to answer your question directly, August, I think the ones that love being ignorant and they ignore even when you educate, and they are just perpetually ignorant, I don't think we can help those people. Or how do they say that in the South? You can't fix stupid. What is it, Bobby? You can't.
I believe that is a statement. Yes.
You can't. Yeah, you can't stop stupid. You can't fix stupid. Something. Someone. Dominique will probably be tweeting me right now, corrected me on that, right? Tell me. But as far as people who are innocently ignorant, I think lovingly educating them or inviting them into our world and just letting them know this is what I'm dealing with right now. I gave my husband Dan Allender's book, Healing the Wounded Heart. Not an easy read at all. But he's a champ making his way through the book. Like on chapter 2, I think. It's only been like a month. So he's ignorant to what I go through as someone who lives with PTSD, but he's not perpetually ignorant and choosing to stay ignorant. He actually has a desire to show compassion. Or as Jack says, he is full of win, most definitely. So, Bobby, what's your answer to August's question? How can we stop ignorance of PTSD being real?
You know, I think that's interesting. And I see Kalisha here saying a statement of, why are you thinking about sad things as if I'm trying really hard to depress myself? And the common denominator among comments like that and a failure to understand PTSD can often be judgment. Okay? Because the judgment is, you should be over it by now. The judgment is, there's nothing really wrong with you. PTSD is a made-up disease and you're just doing it to play the role of a victim. The judgment can be, you're making more of this than it really was. You just need to sit down and be quiet and let it go. And when there's a judgment behind someone's support, it's not really support. It's just judgment, and they want you to do what they want you to do. They don't want to support what you want and what you need. So you can give it a shot, you know, and if someone is saying, I don't really get this whole PTSD thing, you know, print them out some information off the internet from, you know, reliable sources and say, here, maybe this will help. If that doesn't do it, if they're still coming back at you with, yeah, I don't get this PTSD thing, then they're making a choice to be judgmental rather than supportive and encouraging. And that's when you have to start setting boundaries, whether it's a rigid boundary of, I'm not going to be seeing you for a while because I don't want to deal with your negative comments and energy, or whether it's a, okay, I'll still see you, but I've got really firm boundaries up and I am just not engaging with you when you say things like that. Or I'm going to say, you know what, that's a really judgmental comment, and I'd appreciate it if you not say things like that around me, and then turn and walk away from them. It's whatever you feel is the best option for you to take in your life. But anytime there's an undertone of judgment, it isn't encouragement and support. It's just not. So those aren't the people that you're going to be able to look to get the encouragement and support that you need to recover. And as we look at the one page, you'll see that one of the top things on the page is don't judge. Judgment, encouragement, and support promote healing. Judgment promotes destruction. Okay? So they're at opposite. They can't occur in the same place. You can't encourage someone and judge them at the same time and expect for them to progress, because you're tearing them down by one hand and building them up with another. But chances are, because you're tearing them down, they're not going to trust what you're saying over here that you're supposed to be, meaning to build them up. So that just kind of gets negated, and then all you end up doing is tearing them down. So it's okay to set strong boundaries with people who tear you down. It's not only just okay, it's probably the best thing that you can do for yourself and protect yourself. You don't deserve to be treated like that. And if you make an honest effort to educate someone when they're just simply ignorant of what PTSD is all about, and they still come back at you with judgment, you have a decision point to make. Now it's on you. You know where they stand. They're there to offer judgment, not support, not encouragement. And now you get to make a choice. Do you choose to continue to allow them to spew that judgment into your life? Or do you set a boundary, either emotionally or physically? And I can tell you that the more boundaries that you set with people who are offering you judgment, and the more that you turn towards and find people who truly are encouraging and supportive, the better your recovery will go. You'll progress faster and you'll progress farther. Some of us have very limited resources in our physical world. We don't have a lot of people who are there for us, in our immediate vicinity. So most of the people that we can turn to for encouragement and support might be online. And so that's when you tap into the Twitter community. That's when you tap into the Facebook community. That's when you join a coaching group. That's when you join, a small group of survivors who are committed to being there every day for each other. But I'm telling you that we've been doing this for 2.5 years. If you don't have people around you physically, you can still have people in your life. You're just going to have to reach out through the internet and maybe get used to what might might have been in the past an unconventional means of receiving support. So don't accept judgment. And we're going to talk some more as we put up the other one page about things that people can do to support you. Like, respect your timeline. Everybody's recovery timeline is different. So you are not going to move at the same speed or rate that someone else is. You might not move at the speed or rate that the people who love you want you to move at. You may be friends with someone who is also a survivor, and you do not take the same exact path that they did. And that's okay. There's no one-size-fits-all recovery. Mental health treatment tends to be, we try to cram it into the medical model, which, although it's not always a cookie cutter, one method of treatment fits everybody, it is much more okay, so you have pneumonia, first we give this medication, then we give this medication, and we provide this kind of support and this kind of support, and you should get better. But that doesn't always work for survivors. We had different kinds of abuse. We had different kinds of grooming. We had different kinds of family systems. We had different kinds of adulthood, which then re-traumatized us or reinforced our grooming. There simply is not a one-size-fits-all recovery plan. I wish there were, because that would be lovely. And it would be so much easier for us just to stand and hand out a map. Here's one for you, and one for you, and one for you, and one for you. Travel 6 miles and stop at that road stop and pick up A, B, C, and D. The next day go here and pick up this and here and pick up that. Like a little marathon map or something. That would be great. But it doesn't work that way. And people who expect you to stick to their timeline or do it the way they've done it or the way they think it should be done, that's judgment. That's not support and encouragement. That's destructive. That's not productive. I'm going to talk about things like just being there and listening. Oh, my word, please listen. What is the adage out there that says always listen for twice as much time as you ever speak?
Yeah, because we have 2 ears and 1 mouth.
Yes, that's it. That's it, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So let that be your guide. Listen. Ask questions. This morning in chat, we had people saying, I don't know what, people come and talk to me and they tell me I don't know what to do. Ask them. The best thing that you can do when you don't know what to do to help a survivor is say, I don't know how to help you. Can you tell me what you think might help? Now, sometimes they're not going to know. And that's okay. And you could throw out a few ideas, and see what sticks. But one of the hallmark corners of trauma-informed care is choice, and then another corner is control. Choice and control, choice and control. You want to offer the survivor choices, and you want to offer them control over their own recovery process. So that's why when you think you know their timetable and you think you know how it should all be going on, and you let them know that, you're taking away their choice and their control, and you're not offering trauma-informed support. So that's so important to remember as you're supporting another survivor, if you're a survivor or if you're not a survivor. Anything else that people are bringing up before we bring out the one page? Athena?
Jack said he had a question, and I told him to tweet it like everybody else, so he's going to tweet it. he said, Bobby, I have a question when you have time, but I don't know if he sent it because Kate, old soul, she's in need of some support right now. Kate, we are so happy that you're here with us. She says, funny and strange at today's topic. Shame is all I have been feeling lately, and it is so painful. Our topic today is not no more shame. Our topic is how to support and encourage, but we use our hashtag no more shame every single week, every Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, which is 2 a.m. on Tuesdays in the UK if you're in Greenwich Mean Time. Kate, I am sorry you are receiving shame. You do not deserve that, and you're in the right place. We are here to support you. We have an awesome group of people on Twitter and here on YouTube and on Roku, and we're just super glad that you're here. It is so painful to be receiving shame. I don't see Jack's question at all. I don't. Yeah. Maggie said something great. She said there's a difference between ignorant and arrogant.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, because if somebody's ignorant, they just don't know. And we're not using ignorant as like a derogatory term. We're using ignorant as just basically not knowing, which is totally fine to not know. But if you're arrogant and you're just choosing to remain ignorant, yeah, not helpful. Not helpful. No. And not, I mean, I don't want to say you're not welcome here, but don't get all your arrogance and your lack of a desire to help others. Don't get that on anybody else. Just sit back and learn how to be compassionate if you desire to learn how to be compassionate. Jack's question needs to be asked privately. No problem. No problem, Jack. And I don't see any other questions. Maybe we should go. Oh, Dawn came back. She stepped away for a little while and she came back with like a major awesome truth bomb. It was a statistic. Where did it go? Oh, actually, less than 40, she's our respiratory therapist. She's a smarty pants here with us. I love her. Actually, less than 40% of PTSD people are military. I believe the number is 32 or 37%, because someone had made the comment that PTSD should not be related to sexual abuse because it's a military thing, right, which is just ignorant. That's just ignorant and unhelpful. And shame on them for not doing their homework, because if you type in on Google the words PTSD, or you even typed in PTSD, sexual abuse, it'll come up with something like 1,479,000 hits in 0.84 seconds. So, yeah. Yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Shall we
so you
put the one page up?
Yeah. Dawn says, gang, please keep me in your thoughts, as next Monday I will be giving my PTSD presentation to the nursing grand rounds. I'm so excited.
Yay!
We're so proud of you, Dawn, and we are going to be thinking and praying for you. And Dominique says, hard lesson on support. Perfection not required. Nope. I let down so many friends because I couldn't fix it. Just be available. That's a great tip as we head into our one page, you guys. Just being available to someone is so helpful. And the last thing I will say before our one page is what I said this morning during chat, and that is that there is huge power in being fully present with someone and giving them eye contact. I think I am re-traumatized more often than I would like to admit when someone asks me how I'm doing, or if I would like to share something that I'm going through or something that's going on with my healing journey. And then when I go to respond and share, they're sort of checked out, or they're multitasking or doing something else or wiping off a counter, or they're just not fully present. And that is way too familiar for me, because during my childhood and all growing up, neither one of my parents are really good at being fully present. And none of my family members are really good at being fully present, with the exception of my son. My son is really, really good at being fully present. And I was always very fully present for him and fully engaged and asking him open-ended questions about how his day was. And he's great at being fully present if I want to talk with him. But something is very triggering about someone who is just disengaged or a million miles away. They're here, but it's almost like that quote, Bobby, that says something like, the worst feeling in the whole world is being right next to someone, but really just feeling like you miss them.
Yeah.
Like feeling lonely, even though someone's right there with you.
Right.
That is what it is like when in fact, I go through that a lot, even now, present day. And it's one of the most painful, I want to say it's one of the most painful parts of my existence, honestly, because I know how to be fully present for other people. And I'm not trying to say that I need everybody to be like me. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm just saying that there is power in being fully present for another human being. Turning off your phone, not sitting here going, oh, what? Oh, I'm sorry, what were you saying? Like when the heart surgeon was talking with me about my dad's open heart surgery right before he died, and he was sitting down with me in my face-to-face meeting, and he was like, oh, I'm sorry, what were you saying? Oh, I'm sorry, what did you say? What were you saying? And he's getting paid who knows how much money to do open heart surgery, which he already did, and he was sitting down having a face-to-face meeting with me that I had waited 6 days for, and he wasn't able to just give me the common courtesy of being fully present with me and just keeping his phone in his pocket for just a freaking minute. I mean, come on. Sorry, but very triggering. Breathe. I'm going to breathe now. Okay, Bobby, I'm over it. I'm done. Go ahead. Go for it. It's all you.
Okay. All right. And again, this one page can be found at nomooreshameproject.com. Just pop over to the website. You'll see a tab that says downloadables, and all of our one pages for the last 2.5 years are there, starting with the most recent on the top. So let's talk about how to provide encouragement and support for survivors of childhood sexual abuse. Recovery from childhood sexual abuse can be a very complex, had to suppress a yawn there, and lengthy process. Navigating the process alone can be especially daunting. Stigma, shame, and judgment all work against survivors, keeping them isolated, living small, and living in secret. Survivors need support and encouragement on this recovery journey, but often what we receive when we seek that support is unhelpful at best and damaging at its worst. To help parents, partners, spouses, friends, and siblings support the survivors in their lives, we have compiled a list of tips and strategies they can employ. So here is the list. And the first one is believe. Believe those who report a history of childhood sexual abuse to you. It is a myth that many reports of sexual assault are false. The fact is, only 6 to 8% are false, and those are typically instigated by an angry parent against a former spouse or a soon-to-be former spouse. So when someone shares their story, believe them. Don't pepper them with, how could you, why didn't you say anything? Or, wait, well, I don't understand, but did that really happen? I don't remember that part of your life. Believe them. Educate yourself about childhood sexual abuse, including how it affects survivors emotionally, biologically, and relationally. And might I suggest that you refer them, go, to our storehouse of videos and refer them, give them the link to some of those videos that you have found most helpful. And personally, I highly recommend the Trauma and the Brain video, because it specifically describes how long-term childhood trauma changes and damages the brain. Listen. Always listen much more than you speak. And if you're listening simply for an opening in the conversation to speak, that's not really listening. Avoid giving advice unless it is solicited by the survivor. We don't need you to fix us or our situation. And if you try to rescue us, it isn't healthy for either of us, meaning it's not healthy for the person who's trying to rescue, and it's not healthy for the survivor that you're trying to fix. Furthermore, by you telling us that you are going to fix us, the underlying implication is that you don't think we can fix ourselves. And that's a very judgmental and damaging message. And this is the one that Athena just brought up. Be fully present with a survivor who is having a hard time. Sometimes all we need is someone else's compassionate, non-judgmental presence. And if they don't want to talk, that's fine. Just sit with them. You can sit next to them while they read a book. You can sit next to them while they have a cup of tea. You can have your own cup of tea. Sometimes just your non-judgmental, compassionate presence is healing and gives strength. You don't always have to be deep in conversation about their abuse. So often, when I work with survivors who are struggling, I encourage them to go out and spend some social time with safe people and don't talk about their abuse. Instead, have a very, just carefree, chit-chat, lighthearted time, and let it not be. So often we feel like everything in our lives revolves around our trauma and our recovery and our abuse. It's okay to go out and specifically intend for some times to be not about our trauma, and just to laugh and tell jokes and enjoy yourselves. Ask questions. If you don't understand something we've told you, and this next one's important, but ask to understand, not to assuage your own curiosity. Okay? So if you want to know the nitty-gritty details because that's something you're curious about, please don't ask for that. Ask me a question that you need to know the answer to in order to help and support me, not something that serves a purpose of feeding your own curious desires. Listen and speak with us without judgment. Judgment cancels out any of the good you want to do with your support and transforms it into something destructive instead. It's what I was talking about earlier. Support and encouragement should be productive. Judgment is destructive. They can't exist in the same statement. Be patient. Recovery isn't a quick process. Every survivor has a different timetable for theirs. If you push or try to rush someone, it will likely impede their recovery, or it will implode their recovery. Seen that one too. Respect a survivor's process. A lack of respect is a judgment, which is rarely is an understatement, which is never a good thing for a survivor. When you don't respect their process, the underlying implication is that you are telling them they are doing it wrong. Honor each survivor's individuality. Recovery is not a one-size-fits-all process. What is good for one survivor might be unhealthy for another. Aside from intangible support and encouragement, offer tangible help, such as driving survivors to therapy appointments or making a meal for them when they are exhausted. Acknowledge your limits in helping a survivor with their recovery. Promising knowledge or services you can't provide isn't helpful for either you or the survivor. Trust is a very important issue for survivors. If you promise something that you cannot deliver, you risk damaging the capacity to trust, which they are working very hard in their recovery to repair. Take time to engage in your own self-care. Supporting a survivor can be triggering and exhausting for non-survivors. Taking care of yourself is not only healthy, but a good example to set for all the people you love. Encourage your survivor loved ones to join in safe community with other survivors to receive the support and encouragement they need. There is strength in numbers. Being in community with others who have lived their pain will help them to feel stronger and less ashamed. We have free, organized, virtual safe support communities where you can practice new skills and become adept at creating healthy habits. Ask us about getting plugged into free online safe support groups for survivors. And if you're looking this online, that's a PDF, and you can click that link right there that says click here. And that's it. Again, you can get that one page by going to the NoMoreShameProject.com website, clicking on the tab that says Downloadables, and finding the link, and just clicking on it. Then you can either read it, print it out, bookmark it, whatever it is that is most helpful to you.
Yeah. August says that the best way to support her is to take her out for ice cream.
That's great.
Yeah. And then Sarah said this morning to bribe her with cake, because that always helps. And we might be a little tongue-in-cheek with those, but Simi has a great question, which I responded to, but I would love to hear your wisdom, Miss Bobby.
Okay.
Simi says, guys, how do you handle it when people who love you are trying to be supportive, but you don't feel supported? I'm almost not wanting to tell you what I said, because you'll probably say the exact same response, but I want to tell you. I told her, I've experienced this. The only thing which works is for me to clearly and respectfully communicate my needs. Like, communicate exactly what it is that I need. What is your response, Bobby?
If they're trying and they're missing the mark, then I think it's okay to say just that. You know, I know you're trying to support me, but it's not really feeling like it's exactly what I need right now. And maybe you know what you need, and you can say what that is. Or maybe you don't know what you need, and all you can do is let them know, you know, it's not hitting the mark, but I'm not sure what it is that I do need. I'll let you know as soon as I do. But, what you're doing right now kind of makes me feel a little misunderstood. So, let's try something different. I think as survivors, it is so hard for us to voice our needs and wants.
It's terrifying. It's terrifying to communicate your needs because your needs were likely not met when you were a child. Your basic needs for safety and clothing and food and love and acceptance and support and kindness. If those basic needs were not met when you were a child in your formative years and your whole personality was formed while those things were lacking, and you're a full-blown adult now trying to learn to clearly communicate your needs, it is terrifying. There's no catastrophizing. I'm not catastrophizing when I say that. It is literally traumatizing to think about communicating your needs as an adult if your needs were not met when you were a child. It is traumatizing. And you will likely either, whatever your normal trauma response is, like I was just sharing with someone, I have 2 trauma responses. Let me sit up and act like I'm working here. So, complex PTSD from surviving to thriving. He talks about 4 trauma responses, okay? Fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. Now, fight is obvious what that is. Like if you're traumatized, you tend to be aggressive. Flight is if you leave the scene, you're out of there. You back away, you avoid, you're over it. Freeze is you literally freeze and don't know what to do. A lot of people describe if they're being sexually abused as children that they try to pretend that they're sleeping. They freeze. They don't know what to do. They just stay still and just hope that it goes away. And then fawn is really what a lot of people who are adults and they're codependents, if they are in unhealthy relationships, if they tend to try to reason with someone, the abuse is happening, something is traumatizing them, and they try to reason their way through it. So I am a freeze, flee when I'm in a healthy relationship with someone, meaning I will literally freeze and then I avoid, I get out of there. Because for some reason I feel like that person is a safe enough person that I don't have to explain myself. But if for some reason I'm in the middle of like a toxic situation or a toxic dialogue, or I'm in a toxic relationship, usually with someone in my family of origin, for some reason when I'm traumatized, I freeze and then I try to reason and I try to explain everything away. I try to do everything I can to win their approval and their love. And it's the indicator. That's usually when I can pause and go, whoa, pause. Wait a second, Athena. You already know that your trauma response type in a toxic relationship is freeze, fawn. Look what you're doing right now, Athena. You're trying to reason your way into this relationship. You're trying to smooth everything over. You're trying to not upset the apple cart. You're trying to not make waves. You're trying to make everything perfect. You're trying to earn this person's approval. You're hustling for your worth, Athena. And that's the first indicator for me to know that I am dealing with a toxic situation and that I need to just stop. And I need to breathe. And I need to step away from the situation. Because that is my automatic. It is my go-to if I'm with every single family member I've ever been involved in. That's just my go-to. So, but interestingly, the healthy relationships that I've cultivated in my adult life, like my relationship that I have with Bobby, my relationship that I have with many of you guys, my relationship with my husband, some other adult relationships that I have, like my relationship with my son and my daughter-in-law. If I am traumatized by something, I will tend to freeze and then I'll just back away and I'll sort of step away for a day or so. And I just need to give myself some space because I'm otherwise triggered or dealing with something else, or it's just too much on my plate, I'm overwhelmed or whatever. It's really, really, really awesome to learn your trauma response type because like Alex was saying a little bit earlier, I love the tweet she sent. She said, whoa, wait a second. Just to learn that medically our brain literally either freeze, flight, fawn or fight, like medically, like that's just what our brain does. She said the shame just melted away. Like it wasn't her doing it. Like it's not like she's trying to do it. It's not her fault. Like the shame just melted away. And you guys, it's really awesome to study the brain and study how the brain responds to trauma, like Bobby was mentioning earlier. It's so empowering, right, Bobby?
Yes, it is.
So empowering. So empowering. So I encourage you to do that. I'm sending Kalisha a tweet right now saying thank you, and I can't remember what I was thanking her for. Oh, I know why. Because she took all of the bullet points on the one page and she tweeted them out to everybody. I'm like, what was I saying? Dominique says, please don't say God had a plan for allowing what happened or never gives you more than what you can handle. That is a minimizing comment if I've ever heard it. Now, if a survivor has gotten to a place in their own recovery journey where they have the faith to believe that God has a plan and he's going to use all of this mess that we've been through and turn it into a message and help other people, then that is the survivor's choice to say that and to believe that and to share that. It is never anybody else's job to say, don't you know that God has a plan and he's going to use what you went through? He had a plan for you to be sexually abused. And, you know, he allowed you to be raped repeatedly. And, you know, he allowed you to be molested. And like, no, I'm sorry. Like, that's just not okay. I see Bobby covering her face right now and just shaking her head. No, because we've heard this. We've heard this so many times, you guys. It's like, you can't make this up. If I hear one other well-meaning Christian out there tell somebody that God has a plan for why they were sexually abused their whole entire childhood and that it's all going to work out for good, I swear I'm going to scream. Because even if that's the truth, which I've come to a place in my healing where I know that God's using what I've been through for a purpose, and I know that I get to help people now, and I'm super stoked to do it, and I love it. But if you ask me for 1 second if I would prefer to have never been sexually abused, I'd take that in a heartbeat, y'all. I would be like, yes, please. Turn back time and make it never have happened before. I love you guys, mean it. But man, to not have lived through this and not have permanent brain damage and not have suffered my whole entire life, I'm 43 years old still suffering. No. Like, thank you. But for us to tell somebody else that God has a plan and that he allowed it to happen for a purpose and a reason, and God's ways are not our ways and all this other, anyway, I'm doing the thing, Bobby. I'm sorry, I'm doing the thing. I'll stop.
No.
But, it's not helpful. This is the perfect broadcast. It's on topic. I know I normally go off on these rants on other topics and I don't stop, but this is the perfect topic for me to, like, this is not supportive.
Well, it's judgmental.
It is.
Because I heard that all the time when I was a child, and for me, it went even a step more. It was, God gave you this really hard thing because he loves you so much. And God only gives really hard things to people who he really, really, really loves. And so, because you've been given this hard thing, it means you're special. And so by my not wanting the hard thing, I was labeled ungrateful, unfaithful, and disobedient. And as a small child, it's very difficult. I can remember sitting there praying, okay, God, please, I don't want to be special. I give it up. You know, whatever it is that you think, don't love me, please stop loving me, God. Because if this is your love, I don't want to be loved. I don't want to be special. Take it away. So yeah, when we tell people God allowed you to be sexually abused because it was in his plan, the underlying message you're giving them is that by failing to accept the wisdom of God's plan, they're doing something wrong. they're not being an appropriate Christian. They're not being grateful. They're not being thankful. And again, it sends the message to the survivor that they are doing something wrong. And I understand that we're talking right now about a Christian message, but it doesn't matter what the message is. Any message that is filled with judgment is destructive. So whether it's a message about their faith, whether it's a message about how fast they're recovering, whether it's a message about you don't really believe them, whether it's a message that they don't have PTSD, they're just out to play the role of a victim, all of that is judgment. And when you judge someone, you destroy their healing and you destroy the support and the encouragement. And Liz brought up, my husband says he's supportive, but his actions don't match that. Okay, and that's a really, really good point. Words have to match actions for the words to be taken as valid and trustworthy. So if someone tells you, yeah, I really support you, I understand what you're going through, and then as you sit down next to them one day and say, I'm having a hard day, I've had a lot of flashbacks, and they pat you on the shoulder while they roll their eyes, that completely destroys their words, because their actions aren't supporting their words. They have to match. So watch for that. That's a big old red flag. When someone's words don't match their actions, that's a big red flag that their words probably don't carry truth.
Yeah. Alex says, yes, we have to stop minimizing. It is minimizing, you guys. I mean, this broadcast tonight, the topic is all about how to support and encourage the survivors in your life. And the survivors have spoken. Our whole community got together and put together this list. So download this list, super easy, it's free. Go to one of our websites, traumarecoveryuniversity.com or nomoreshameproject.com. Click on downloadables, get the one-page downloadable resource that says encouragement and support one page. What we are trying to express here is every single one of our community members that has tweeted out from this morning until now, it's been, 10 straight hours off and on between over the last 10 hours, people have tweeted out what is helpful for them in their recovery journey and what is not helpful in their recovery journey. And what Bobby and I are saying on the topic of, God having a purpose and a plan, what Bobby said is perfect. Your words and your actions need to match. If you are wanting to be a source of support and encouragement for another survivor, then it is likely that telling them that God allowed them to be sexually abused, that's likely not going to help them. It's just likely not going to be supportive or encouraging. It is not up to you to tell them. God did not tap you on the shoulder and tell you and make you his personal assistant to go sit with a survivor and tell them that God allowed their abuse. I'm sorry, that is unhelpful, unsupportive, and not encouraging. So if you are wanting to be harmful, you shouldn't be watching this broadcast at all, but we're telling you that it is minimizing and judgmental for you to use God as some sort of a Band-Aid to stick on someone's gushing bullet wound. They're bleeding out. They're struggling. They're likely living with brain damage. They might be living with PTSD. They have years and years and years of trauma. They have new memories. They have flashbacks. They have triggers. They have all kinds of things that they're dealing with. And they do not need you to remind them that God is good all the time. All the time, God is good. and that he had a plan for their abuse. Like, that's just not helpful. If they want to come to the realization through their own recovery journey, through their own relationship with God, through prayer, through healing, through whatever it is that God is doing in them, and they come to that realization, that's fantastic. Guess what? It's none of your business. It's not your business. It's not up to you if they come to the realization that God has a plan for their abuse. It's very triggering. Let's just put it that way. Bobby, do you remember the video of one of my family members that said that I should be thanking her?
Yes, you should be thankful to her that she abused you, because now you have this wonderful career.
Yeah. How awesome is that?
Crazy.
Yeah, I should be, silly me, I should be thanking her. Gosh, my bad.
You ungrateful little thing.
That's what I've been told most of my life, actually, is that I'm ungrateful. So,
oh my goodness.
Yeah. So anyway, you guys, sarcasm aside, please do your best to be supportive and loving and kind to the survivors in your life, because that's why you're here. You're here to learn how to be supportive and kind. And we have that whole one-page resource. We have all these amazing tweets. We have the Storify that will be up in a little while. We have information on our website. We have hundreds of hours of videos for you to watch on how to learn to be supportive to the survivors in your life, and if you're a survivor yourself. So there's one particular, Harriet, if you could please pop up the thumbnail for the list of books and resources for survivors. If you could pop up that thumbnail, there is a video, a live Q&A video, along with a one-page downloadable resource, all on a list of books and resources that is helpful for your survivor journey. Because if you are here in support of another survivor and you were to actually read some of these books or resources or subscribe to a blog or what have you, it doesn't cost you any money or little. It costs you no money if you check it out at the library. It costs you very little money if you get it on Amazon. You can get it used. There's tons of books. In fact, we even have a video that has a list of all the different music, and there's encouraging quotes and memes, and just for you to sort of do your research. I think one of the most important things that gal, was it Heather? Bobby, was it Heather? The gal this morning?
I think so.
I believe it was Heather. Yeah, she was the spouse.
Survivor.
She said something so key. If you take nothing else away from this video tonight, you all just take this, okay? She said, if you are the spouse or loved one of an adult survivor of childhood sexual abuse, do some research on how to support a child abuse survivor. Just Google it. It's free. Put forth the minute or hour of effort that it would take to Google it. Google it. Look it up. Do your research. Do some research on what it's like to be a survivor of child abuse. For people this day and age to think that child abuse ends when you're a child and that it doesn't damage you permanently, that's ignorant. So ignorant. And we already talked about ignorance. If you're choosing to stay ignorant, that's a whole nother level of arrogance. And it's just not okay. So I think one of the most meaningful and important and just basic things you can do to support a survivor is to do some research on what it's like to be a child abuse survivor, or how to support a child abuse survivor. It just shows you care. Like, it just shows you care. So thank you for being here, you guys. We're going to transition our broadcast now for thanks to all of you who are here. God, you all are all still here. Thank you for everyone that shows up every week and supports one another and tweets us your questions. And Bobby and I are just so honored and grateful for each of you, and that you're finding our resources helpful, and that you all are just in groups and supporting one another. We're going to transition into the portion of our broadcast where we welcome first-time people who have never seen us before or been here with us, and how you can get in touch with us and to get plugged into an online virtual safe community on Facebook, which Bobby has two very brief screen shares that she'll go ahead and share now for the next 5 minutes or so. Thanks for being here, you guys.
Okay. let's talk about ways that you can connect with Athena and I. I'm going to make this a little bigger here. And with all of these, you know, we ask for your patience. It's the two of us plus a few survivor volunteers. So if we don't reply within 24 hours or we don't reply within 48 hours, it is not because we are choosing to ignore you or we don't like you or anything personal. It's a statement about us and the busyness of our lives. So please keep that in mind when contacting us. You can reach me at bobbylparish@gmail.com. You can reach Athena at athenamobergspeaking@gmail.com. You can reach us jointly at our No More Shame Project email, and that is nomoreshameproject@gmail.com. You can watch all of our videos, all of our replays every week, and they are all stored on YouTube, Roku TV, and Google+. And you can just do a search for Trauma Recovery University and up the channel will pop. If you would like to connect with us on Twitter, I am Bobby L. Parrish. Athena is Athena Moberg. Trauma Recovery University is Trauma Recovery U. Capitals don't matter on Twitter. Twitter doesn't care about uppercase, lowercase. If you would like to connect with us on Facebook, we have our joint Trauma Recovery University page. I have my professional page, which is Bobby Parrish Coaching and Consulting. I have my personal page, which is Bobby Parrish. I have listed there the URL for Athena's personal and professional pages. Her professional page is Athena Moberg Speaking, and her personal page is Dawn Athena Moberg. You can watch all of our videos, including the ones live every Monday night at bit.ly/Trauma Recovery U. And those capitals do matter. So bit.ly likes the capitals. Twitter does not care. Okay, let's jump over to our final screen share on how you can get plugged into the community events that we provide each week. These are free. They always will be free. There's no charge. You can join us for any one or all of our 3 Twitter chats a week. The first is on Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. in the UK. That hashtag is CSAQT, which stands for Child Sexual Abuse Question Time. And then there is the joint video and Twitter chat that if you're with us live right now, you're participating in. The hashtag for that is No More Shame. And it is at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern, and Tuesdays at 2 o'clock in the morning if you're in the UK. And then Tuesday evening is the original Sex Abuse Chat. The hashtag is Sex Abuse Chat. And that's at 6 p.m. Tuesday, 9 Eastern, and Wednesday at 2 o'clock in the morning in the UK. And all you have to do is use the hashtag on Twitter to participate. If you would like to join one of our Facebook support groups, easy 4-step process. Like the Trauma Recovery University page, then send friend requests to both Athena and I. We ask that you send them to both of us because we are on 2 different time zones, 2 very different busy schedules. One of us is going to have a chance to get to you before the other. And once we have accepted your friend request, and not before, because if you do it before, it goes off into that mysterious other folder that we never are able to find and get no notifications about. So then send us a message that says something similar to, I'd like to heal in safe community. I'd like to join one of your support groups. We will then connect with you. We will ask you some questions if we don't yet know you. We will look at your Facebook timeline, and we will make sure that you're safe to be part of our support groups. And then we will welcome you in to one of our support groups and post an introduction so the entire community can welcome you in. And that's it. All the slide shares for the week are done. Yay!
Yay! You're amazing. Everybody's saying good night. I think the Destiny sort of wrapped it up with sort of the tone of this week, and she said, I think it is sad that so many choose to stay ignorant to abuse so they don't have to deal. And, you know, it's just true. But if you're here watching this video, you're not choosing to stay ignorant. You're actually here because you want to be part of the solution and not part of the problem. So thank you so much, you guys, for being here. Hazel Davis stopped by. I'm so happy to see her.
Hey, Hazel!
I know, I haven't seen her in so long. Oh my goodness. You guys are all so amazing. Thank you for being here. Gosh, we just have the greatest family ever. Next week, our topic is trafficking. We are going to discuss the nuances of adult survivors of childhood sexual abuse, and when there was a level of exploitation added to that, if they were exploited for money or services, or if there was what is trafficking? What is human trafficking? So a definition of what it is, what it isn't. No, it's not just something that happens in third world countries, unbeknownst to everyone. It happens everywhere, in every country, as far as I'm aware. And we're going to talk about what is trafficking, when there is a level of exploitation that goes along with the abuse. There are some different layers that come with healing if there was trafficking involved with your abuse. Some different triggers. I know for me personally, there was some exploitation that went along with my abuse. So I can identify with this topic personally, and I have money triggers. Like, I have deep triggers regarding money and worth, and my validity of being alive or being a human being is directly correlated with the amount of money that I can make. Period. And I also have like appearance, like, because when you're little, you have to look perfect so that you can, you know, be looking perfect all the time so that you can be traipsed around or exploited in ways. And if you don't look good, then you're not going to attract, you know, people that have money. So there are different triggers and different levels of healing that go along if there was indeed a level of exploitation that went along with your sexual abuse, if there was trafficking. So please, if that applies to you or someone you know of, please let them know that they can come join us next week, Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, using the hashtag No More Shame, our Roku TV channel, Trauma Recovery University, our YouTube channel, Trauma Recovery University. Bobby, did you want to say anything to everybody before we say goodbye?
No, we're just so happy to have you here. Happy to be back next week, and then be looking for a 2-hour special on accepting the reality that you are a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. I think it's one of the most challenging elements of recovery, and then one of the most painful. So trafficking next week, 2-hour special the week after that, and then we'll just be sliding down into Christmas. So,
yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Bobby.
You bet.
So we're so happy you guys chose to spend this evening with us. Thank you for being here. This is Bobby Parrish, and I'm Athena Moberg, and we love to bring you everything you need for healthy, informed trauma recovery. See you next week.